Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to get started in the Grand Archive TCG, talk about some entry-level product that you can look at, also talk about some of the resources they have out there, just kind of give you a general discussion on where to go depending on where you're at. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below, especially to any of my Grand Archive people that are new to the channel, first time seeing me. Definitely go down in there, let me know you joined. I'm going to try to make some good Grand Archive channels so we can have a lot of good discussion in there. So please feel free to do that. But we'll get right into it. So what I'm going to do, for me with Grand Archive, I started playing the game in Dallas, Texas, where the game was a little bit more built out even in the first couple sets. So there was a lot of locals that you could play in, and it was a little bit easier to get your hands on stuff even when the product was a little bit scarce. But since then, I've been living in Virginia, and we've just now, one of my local game stores is starting to support the game. We're playing weekly events, started having actual like sanctioned events. It's been really fun. But depending on where you're at, I'm gonna try to give you like different level of stuff that you can try to do, whether you have a store that supports it and there's a lot of players, or you have no one around you, because that was me for a little bit. There's definitely something for you. So in terms of product first, that's the first thing I wanted to go over. We have three different really levels of product in Grand Archive. You have the starter decks. There's a lot of different ones. You can go on TCG Player, is probably the best place. Discord's also very good to get these as well, or a local game store. The starter decks in this game are pretty good. I really enjoyed them. As far as power level, I'd say they're a little bit higher than your average trading card game starter deck. That's just my opinion, but they're not like competitively like past weekly local event viable. However, what they do have is they always have access to like one or two secret rares, which is really nice. They usually give you a good feel for the archetype. They give you all the way up to a level 3 champion, which is really, really nice. And there's a good way. And the one thing I really like about the star decks is specifically with Tenoris Arasana, who's not the most competitive, but I really enjoy playing her, is you get the full feeling of the deck, the full feeling of the archetype. And sometimes you don't always get that in starter level products. Sometimes they kind of leave out some of the creme de la creme stuff, but with these I really enjoy how much work they put into giving you a feel for how that champion is designed to play at a base level. And the fun factor of these starter decks is really high, and they're relatively cheap. If you can find them locally or at a store, they generally run you like $15-20, I think. If you have to pay online, it might be 20 plus with shipping, but they're super cheap. Really good entry level way. I highly suggest to get into the game. Very, very nice. The next step up that we have here, let me click the right button, is the Recollection deck. So these came back in the most previous set, I believe, and they're basically like a step up from the Armory decks. Now, there's not a lot of Armory decks. Gosh, Flesh and Blood player here. You're going to have to bear with me. They're a step up from the starter decks, but there isn't as many of them. There's only two. There's the Sylvie Recollection deck and the Tristan Recollection deck. For my Flesh and Blood players, I'm going to make some comparisons here early on as I do these videos. It's kind of like the Armory deck with a little bit more bells and whistles. It's a slightly more competitive version of a deck, but what it does come with is it comes with a pack of 3 packs of the set that it came with, as well as a 60-card deck, 12-card material deck. But the two things that it also comes with that I really enjoy, one, it comes with a pack of sleeves that are Grand Archive themed, which is really, really nice. Either Sylvie sleeves or Tristan sleeves, depending on which Recollection deck you get. What it also does, which not every trading card game does, and normally is a big gripe with players, is it gives you a full playset of every single card. So for example, some of the more higher rarity cards in the main 60-card deck, there might be only 1 or 2 of them because that's their suggested ratio rate for that deck. However, it comes with another little pack in there. It's actually right here. So it comes with, this is for my Tristan deck. So this is where the 60-card deck came in, but then they have another purple box in there that was slightly smaller that basically rounded out all of your cards. So in a 60-card deck, if 3 play sets of cards only had 3, 3, and 2, the remaining 1, 1, and 2 of that play sets would be in that smaller thing. So basically you get a play set of every card that is in the deck, which is really, really nice. A lot of players gripe about that in other games where they have to buy 2 star decks to get a full play set, or they have to buy this. This allows you to have everything out of the box. These run about $70. So it's a little bit more of expensive of a price point for sure. But if you really love the hero like Sylvie or Tristan, I think for the price point, it's great because all you have to do is do a couple little upgrades and you're pretty much there on the deck you want to build competitively. Very competitive out of the box. Can win some games at locals, even win some locals if you play the deck correctly. And they're also really strong. Sylvie and Tristan are both meta decks right now. Sylvie's arguably the best deck in the game. Sylvie Slime, and then Tristan is, I'd say, like top 3, top 4. So really, really good starter point for that. And then you have the booster boxes, which are really good. I think booster boxes are pretty good. I, at the time of recording this video, went today and got my Mortal Ambition booster boxes. I opened 2 of them, and you get pretty much all the commons you need and all the uncommons. Rares in this game are kind of pseudo between like a majestic and rare level in terms of pull rates. Like, for example, I opened 2 boxes, and the rares, I didn't get a full play set of all the rares, but the rares in this game are a little bit more impactful than in other games, so it's a little bit harder to like delineate that. But regardless, booster boxes is really fun. Most of you know what you're getting when it comes to getting booster boxes, but I just wanted to put that in there. So that's that. When it comes to resources, there's a bunch of different things that you can look at. I'll link them all down in the description below. First is the Grand Archive website. Highly suggest going there if you're a new player. They have getting started for players here. You can click on it. It'll give you the beginner's guide. It gives you like some of the primers for some of these decks. So if you buy the Tenora Star deck, it'll give you a primer on how to play it. It goes over keywords, all this other stuff, the objective of the game, the resource system, all of that. It's really, really nice. Excuse me. It also talks about products. They have a card database, which is really good. Go through each champion, the lore of each champion. Really, really well built out site. As you can see here, you literally can click on whatever champion. It'll give you a small lore excerpt. Really, really nice. The beginner's guide, like I said, you can go to Omnidex to make your profile. So again, I'm gonna make a Flesh and Blood comparison here. Bear with me. For Flesh and Blood, this is like Gym, but for Grand Archive. So you make your profile and you have an ELO system. It'll track, how many events you've attended, how many you've won, how many matches you've played, how many matches you've won, your lifetime XP, events attended, events won, all that stuff for ranked, unranked, all that good stuff. So really, really cool. You also have, it's a little bit cut off because of the way I shaped the square, so I'm sorry about that, but it has your events. So any events you've signed up for, you can go over here. It's on the left. It's just a little cut off. You also have an event finder for both online and offline. Any premier events that are coming up in the future. It has a store locator to be able to find any stores in your local area. As you can see in Virginia, where I live, it was only in this area, but now there's a store closer to me, which is really, really nice. It has leaderboards, all that stuff, and a judge application if you want to apply to be a judge. So that's really cool. Then they have a card database, pretty well built out. You can do an advanced search, key search. This is all really important stuff because resources like this just really allow you to get a grasp of the game better. And then some of the more specific things that I really enjoy. One is their Luxura's map is the name of the website. Basically, you can go here. I'll go to the main page. And you can look at tournament reports. So if you want to look at like the most recent Ascent, which is like their version of a calling, you can look at competitive articles talking about competitive play. For different tournament reports, they categorize it by set. So if you want to look at an event that happened during Alchemical Revolution or Fracture Crown, the most recent set before today's release was Mercurial Heart. So you can look at every single event that is sanctioned from store championship and above, and they have everything. And when you click on one, I'll click on let's not click on an Ascent because that's a big event, right? We can look at a regional, South Carolina regionals. They have pictures of it. They talk about Top Cut, what champions made Top Cut, what elements made Top Cut, and then you can click on it here. And you can look at the entire deck list. And then you can click on this, open it in Deck Builder, and it allows you to open it in their deck building website, which is also really good. Shout at your decks and be able to make a copy of it or build it yourself. But it's really, really nice. So if you go to the most recent event, which was the Ascent Singapore, they had like 5 or 6 different heroes or champions in the top 8, and you goes all the way down to top 32 for some of the major events, which is like their day 2 cut. So that's really nice. And then we have shout at your decks, which is also a really good one. This is my profile. So this is my Tristan deck. where you can click on stuff, look at cards. It has stats on like how much floating memory do you have in the deck, your material deck, all that stuff, side, all that good stuff. You can export it to Omnidex, to TTS, really, really good stuff. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to show, which I thought was really cool. So like in certain games like Flesh and Blood, we have like, you know, February and Talishar, which is really, really nice. This game, one of the most unique, like community-driven resources I've ever seen in a card game is Fractal of Insight. I don't even know who makes this, but this is sick. So what this allows you to do is, one, you can look at, similar to this website, you can look at any given event and look at the breakdown, like who plays what, things like that. So we'll go to the Ascent Singapore, which is the most recent really big event. So when you go to an event, you can look at the player list, you can look at the meta composition, you can look at head-to-head matchups and matches. So let's go to meta composition first. So there were 93 fire decks, 47 water decks, 58 wind decks, 83 norm decks. It gives you the percentage of those. What was their archetypes? So because they're using, I'm assuming, the API of Grand Archive's like system to be able to pull all the data for all players in that event, not just top 8, not just day 2, like every single player. So 31% of the decks were slime, and then you can see here 4.6% of them were norm or fire, and 94% were normal. And then the Crux archetype, which is another element. So these are like archetypes. So it's almost like, again, Flesh and Blood reference, like if you had Dorinthia and you had Dawnblade Dory, Axis Dory, and Axe Dory, you could literally see that. Like imagine being able to see like, okay, there was 100 Dories at this event in some crazy world. But you could also see like, you know how in some games, sometimes we're always like, okay, well, what version of Dorinthia was it? Or what version of, you know, whatever, what version of Enigma was it? Well, this will tell you that. And it's super, super nice. It also goes through the champions and like their meta breakdown and stuff like that. The other thing that's really cool, and this is really good for competitive players, is the head-to-head composition. So if you are a Wind Allies player, you can look at how Wind Allies did across every Swiss round. So Wind Allies had a 53% win rate against Slimes over 66 matches. 34% win rate against Crux over 53 matches. And you can kind of easily see where your archetype and where your deck, like, where it stacks up, which is so sick. And what is also really cool about this is you can go to just decks in general. So I can just look completely at, like, let's say I'm a Tristan player, so I love Shadow Strike. We can go to Shadow Strike, the archetype in general. This is on the deck. It is appeared 495 times since this site started, you know, keeping track. Its earliest appearance was May 24th. Yeah, May 24th, 2024, which is assuming when the Tristan deck came out. Its overall win rate across all events since then is 52%, and it's won 15 total events. You can also go look at the deck composition. What are the normal cards that are played in that deck? As you can see, normally in Shadow Strike, it's played with the wind element, so a lot of times this is where it is. 100% of the time it's Tristan. The 2.2% is Xander, which I'm assuming is sometimes they have like a level 1 Xander is my assumption. But you can see that. You can see results by season. In Mercurial Heart, which is the only season this deck's been in play, it has been 11% of the total meta, and it has won 15 events. And this is its win rate against every archetype across that meta. Like this amount of detail in this is so cool. And as a new player, it allows you to be able to understand, you know, if like Crux is one of the most oldest ones, right? It's been in 1,060 appearances. Its earliest appearance was February of this year. Its overall win rate is 55%. It's been, you know, filtered by season. In Mercurial Heart and Alchemical Revolution, you can see its share of the meta, what it did good and what it did bad against. This just allows you to pick your deck better, right? Like if you're not sure what you want to play from a theme perspective, but you want to play a decently competitive deck and you're not sure like where that deck stacks up, then you can look at this. Also, as a competitive player, if you're going into an event, you can kind of get a good idea of like at a competitive level, you know, how good is this hero? Because that's one thing you struggle in card games is, you know, sometimes you'll be like, okay, you know, X deck is really good at my local level, but is it really going to be good at a bigger level? You can kind of see that really easily with this. So this, whoever makes this, like if you're watching this, kudos to you. This is insane detail. You can also look at players, which is really cool. and see how they did. So this player has recorded 38 events. Their latest event was this. You can see their deck trend. So they've played to Norris 90% of the time, Lorraine 9% of the time. Like, that's actually nuts. You can see what they've placed, their elo change, what their record was, what their deck was. So, like, if you wanted to, again, Flesh and Blood reference, sorry, I keep making it. I promise at some point I'll stop making the comparisons. If you wanted to make, like, what did Michael Hamilton play at this ProQuest? Like, it, or this regional, it literally has it. And it has their deck, and you can see it. So, like, some people might not like this because it's giving up too much information. But for me, from a creator and just a general card game perspective, like, this is awesome. So this site is insane. So yeah, those are some of the resources I want to bring up. I'm going to do my best to remember to link every single one down in the description below. Please check it out. I highly recommend it if you're getting started on the game. I think it's a really good start. And also, as far as a product, right, you can start with a starter deck if you want. You can start with a Recollection deck, which is what I started with. I started with the Tristan Recollection deck. I bought boxes back in set 1, but as far as like playing the game like consistently, the Recollection deck was something I really wanted to buy. And then if you want to try your hands some booster boxes, definitely give it a try. I think they're worth it in terms of, you know, some fun factor and also gain a good amount of the cards. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Again, if you're new to my channel from the Grand Archive community, thank you so much for stopping by. I'll try to say this a couple more times in my other videos, but I do really conversational content. I don't do a lot of cuts or edits. So if you like that style, you know, you like something that's easy listening, that almost feels like you're having a good conversation with your buddy at your local game store, that's the type of content I try to portray. So hopefully you enjoy that. But thank y'all so much, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk.